Imagine a city gripped by an unstoppable urge to dance, not for joy, not for celebration, but for survival. In the sweltering summer of 1518, in the heart of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, hundreds of people began moving their bodies to an invisible rhythm. There was no music, no festival, only an eerie, compulsive motion, and a mystery that has puzzled historians for over 500 years. This is the strange and haunting story of the dancing plague. It began quietly on a hot July day. A woman named Frau Trophea stepped out of the narrow streets of Strasbourg. Witnesses say she began to sway, then spin, her arms and legs jerking in strange rhythmic movements. At first, neighbors laughed. Maybe she was drunk. Maybe she was mocking a festival dance. Her movements didn't stop. Hours passed. Sweat soaked her clothes. Her face turned pale. Her feet bled against the cobblestones. And still, she danced. By nightfall, she collapsed in exhaustion. I went to wake and start again the next morning. 3 days later, she was still moving, still twisting, stamping, and turning. There was no celebration. It was as if something had taken hold of her body and refused to let go. Within a week, 30 more people had joined her. By the end of the month, over 100 were dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Strasbourg was a city of merchants, artisans, and devout churchgoers, not prone to mass hysteria. Yet, day and night, in the heat of summer, people spun and twirled until their feet were raw and their bodies gave out. They danced until they collapsed from exhaustion. Some fainted. Others, witnesses claimed, died right there in the streets from heart attacks, strokes, or sheer physical depletion. City leaders were baffled and terrified. The local physician ruled out supernatural causes and insisted this was a natural illness, but not one they understood. They blamed it on hot blood, a supposed imbalance in bodily humors. The cure, they decided, was not to stop the dancers, but to let them dance it out. So the city set up guild halls and grain markets, even building a wooden stage in the city center. They brought in musicians to aid the process, hoping music would somehow exhaust the strange compulsion. Instead, it only seemed to draw more participants. The dancing plague was now an official public spectacle, and it was getting worse. Eyewitnesses described the same as both mesmerizing and horrifying. Rows of men and women spinning in unison, their faces twisted in pain, mouths gasping for breath. Some screamed as they danced, begging for help. Others appeared in a trance, eyes glazed over, oblivious to the crowds around them. It was said that even the children and elderly were caught in this strange rhythm. One chronicler wrote, "Many of them bowed while they danced, their bodies giving way, yet the rest continued, as though driven by the devil himself." So, what happened in Strasbourg that summer? Theories have swirled for centuries. At the time, the most popular belief was divine punishment. The dancers were thought to be sinners, cursed by Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers and entertainers. Pilgrimages to his shrine were organized, in hopes the saint would show mercy. But modern historians have proposed other explanations. One theory points to ergot poisoning caused by mold on damp rye bread. Ergot contains chemicals similar to LSD, which can trigger hallucinations, convulsions, and strange behavior. Another theory is mass psychogenic illness, a form of collective hysteria brought on by extreme stress. Strasbourg in 1518 had been hit by famine, disease, and crushing poverty. In such desperate times, psychological stress could manifest physically, even in something as bizarre as compulsive dancing. Some researchers believe it was a mix, a stressed, malnourished population, possibly under the influence of contaminated food, triggering an outbreak of mass movement that fed on itself like a social contagion. By early September, the dancing finally stopped. Some dancers simply collapsed and never got up again. Others were carried away to religious shrines, where priests performed rituals to cleanse them. The streets of Strasbourg grew quiet, but the memory of the summer never faded. In the years that followed, smaller outbreaks of mysterious dancing occurred elsewhere in Europe, in places like Basel, Cologne, and the Netherlands, but none matched the scale of Strasbourg in 1518. The dancing plague remains one of history's strangest events, a moment when the line between mind and body, reality and madness, blurred completely. For the people of Strasbourg, it was a nightmare that played out in broad daylight in the heart of a city with no clear cause and no clear cure. And even now, scientists and historians can't say for certain what possessed hundreds of people to dance themselves to death. Was it poison? Was it mass hysteria? Or something even stranger, lost to time? What we do know is this: the dancing plague of 1518 was real. It was witnessed by countless people. It was recorded in the city's official archives, and it stands as a chilling reminder that sometimes history's most unsettling mysteries are the ones we still can't explain. 5 centuries later, the cobblestones of Strasbourg have long since cooled, but if you listen closely on certain summer nights, locals say you can almost hear it, the faint echo of footsteps, keeping time to a song but never really ended. So, with most of these mysteries, I have a pretty decent idea of what happened, or at least I can come up with a plausible idea. But on this one, I really got nothing. I, of course, have heard of mass hysteria, but to me, that seems unlikely that a bunch of hysterical people just started dancing. I'm also not sold that ergot poisoning is a realistic cause. It's hard for me to believe that hallucinogenics made a group of people dance until they died. And I've been to a widespread panic concert. So if anybody knows anything about this that I don't, please do let me know. Or if you have any wild theories, I'd love to hear them. Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Love you. Bye bye.